massage sessions. Retailers nationwide. More at dreamwavechair.com. This Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Rachel Martin.
And I'm Steve Inskeep. Good morning. The Trump administration told an appeals court this week that it now wants the entire Affordable Care Act thrown out. That means millions of people could lose coverage, and so far the administration has offered only piecemeal fixes to the healthcare system to replace it. Among them is an effort to rein in drug prices. NPR's Allison Kojak has been looking into that.
Human Services Secretary Alex Azar has released 3 major proposals aimed at driving drug prices lower. The biggest would upend the entire system that sets the prices for medications people buy at their local pharmacy. Today, those prices are negotiated in secret as rebates between drug companies and middlemen known as pharmacy benefit managers. Last month, Azar said instead he wants to do this.
Replace today's opaque system of rebates, which drives prices higher and higher, with a system of transparent and upfront discounts delivered directly to patients that will finally drive prices down.
Unlike today's rebate system, those discounts wouldn't be secret. The plan, Azar says, would reduce what consumers pay at the pharmacy counter and eventually increase the prices.
It can't be underestimated the amount of change this is.
That's Wally Gilad, who runs the Center for Pharmaceutical Policy and Prescribing at the University of Pittsburgh.
The competition between companies has been on how big a rebate they can get. The way that you give a big rebate is by increasing the list price. So the idea is to get rid of that so that companies can compete based on getting the list price lower.
But economists like Len Nichols doubt the changes will end with overall prices being lower than the deals the pharmacy benefit managers, those middlemen, get today.
The truth is they still, on balance, lower prices from what they would be if they didn't exist, which is exactly why we need them.
Nichols, a health economist at George Mason University, says when there are only a few powerful players in the market and they know what everyone is paying, prices often go up.
Well, one way to think about it is that imagine what you wanted was for a cartel to work perfectly. One way a cartel works perfectly is if all members of the cartel know everybody else's price.
Azar of HHS has also proposed requiring drug companies to include the list prices of their medications in television and magazine ads, which the companies strongly oppose. Sarah Fisher Ellison, an economist at MIT, says the focus on publicizing prices for consumers seems like it should work.
But to be honest, they probably missed the mark.
That's because consumers don't pay list prices at all, and usually don't even choose what medication they're buying. That decision is in the hands of their doctor, and unlike with toothpaste or soda, it's not easy to switch brands.
You can imagine sort of a patient walking into a pharmacy and he has a prescription for Lipitor, and then finds out that Zocor, which is sort of a similar drug, is a lot cheaper. Well, there's nothing he can do at that point.
When it comes to driving down prices, analysts say HHS's third proposal is likely to work. That plan would tie the price Medicare pays for IV cancer and arthritis drugs to the prices paid in other countries. But the proposal is facing steep opposition from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and doctors who say the idea may hurt patients. Ted Oken is the executive director of the Community Oncology Alliance.
I basically have traveled the world, literally, looking at cancer care, and other countries do not have the access to the drugs that we have here.
Azar says he's confident drug companies will still sell their products in the U.S., even if prices were lower than they are today. Allison Kojak, NPR News.
And you're listening to WHYY. Good morning. It's 8:25 a.m. My name is Kevin McCory, joined alongside Mike and Scott here during this spring membership campaign, where we're asking your support for this service that you know and trust. You know what Morning Edition means to you. We're now asking you to please put a value on it. Make a pledge of support. The number 1-888-345-9499, or do it online at WHYY.org. We started this hour with a goal of $3,000. We have $1,000 in so far, so we're doing pretty well. But we need more. We need the flurry to keep going.
Yes, please. WHYY.org is where you can make that pledge. We were just talking about how much we appreciate just the fact that public radio makes the news more manageable as a consumer of news. This is a source where I feel like things have been filtered in a way that makes sense. So somebody has looked at all the news that you could put out in a day and then picked, this is the reasonable amount of stories that we can do. These are the most important stories, and these are the stories that we're going to focus on today. And I trust that service, and I think so do our listeners. We heard from Jennifer from Elkins Park, who says, I support the fact. I appreciate WHYY's reporting. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you for Jennifer for making that pledge at WHYY.org. Leah from Philadelphia says, I value tremendously that there is a place I can turn for the truth. So, Leah, that speaks to what I was trying to say. You know, you have a service that you can trust, and it does some of the work of just looking around and trying to figure it all for you. And I really appreciate that. Give us a call, become a member, and we're hoping to unlock more of these clues, Kevin, in our mystery.
Right, we have this big announcement coming on Monday.
Yep.
WHYY does, but they didn't tell Mike and I. We have no idea what the big announcement is. It's a big mystery around the office.
Yep.
So we've kind of turned, this studio that we're in right now, it's kind of like Homeland in here, where we got the pictures on the big board and the string, and we're kind of going around with magnifying glasses trying to sort through the papers and combing through the documents and seeing where the data leads us. And we're trying to figure out what this big mystery is. We have 2 clues so far. The first one was a sandal, like a Birkenstock-ish looking sandal.
Yeah.
The second one was a string of coordinates. Now, we used an advanced tool called Google to figure out that the coordinates are a place in Northwest Philly, in Roxborough, where all the big radio and television transmitter towers are. So we have those. That's a location apparently where this clue, I think, is going to be a person. It's a personality, I think, right? So somebody with sandals and transmitter towers. I don't know.
No, the person was spotted there. Spotted there. Could be anybody.
Could be anything.
I mean, there's a reason I'm not working for the FBI. So help me out here. Make a pledge at WHYY.org. I can't take anything away from those clues. Maybe you can. If you do, tweet at me. I'm at Mike and Scott. But anyway, we're hoping that you will take this moment to support WHYY. That is what's really important here. WHYY.org is where you can do so, and we appreciate it.
Supporting WHYY, the Farm Boy Fund, which also supports Beyond Pesticides, helping to stop pesticide poisoning of our environment, homes, workplaces, schools, food, and water through public information and action. Supporting WHYY, Temple University's International Affairs Lecture Series presents U.S. World Policy, America First versus Global Diplomacy, featuring Ignacio Marino, M.D., former mayor of Rome, and Trudy Rubin, Philadelphia Inquirer foreign affairs columnist and 2-time Pulitzer Prize finalist. Moderated by Richard Deeg, Temple Professor of Political Science and Liberal Arts Dean. Lecture begins 3 p.m. Wednesday, April 3rd on campus. Registration at temple.edu/international.
Supporting WHYY, Montgomery County Community College. Montco's Workforce Development Division can help shift your career into high gear with training and professional development for individuals, businesses, and organizations. Learn more at mc3.edu.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Dave Mattingly. Democrats in Congress say they may subpoena Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia report if they don't receive it from Attorney General William Barr by next Tuesday. The chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Gerald Nadler of New York, says Barr told him that deadline won't be met due to redactions, including grand jury testimony. A former women's soccer coach at Yale University has pleaded guilty to taking bribes from wealthy parents to help get their children admitted to the Ivy League school. Kirk Carapezza with member station WGBH in Boston says the coach is one of 50 people charged in an admissions cheating investigation involving students at 8 universities.
Rudy Meredith is the 3rd person to plead guilty to participating in the largest college admissions scandal in U.S. history. The 51-year-old began cooperating with authorities after federal agents secretly recorded him soliciting a $450,000 bribe in a Boston hotel room. Meredith led investigators to Rick Singer, the so-called admissions consultant at the center of the scheme. Meredith faces a maximum of 20 years in prison, but he could serve much less since he's cooperating. Earlier this week, a dozen other implicated coaches pleaded not guilty. For NPR News, I'm Kirk Carapezza in Boston.
2 NASA astronauts are outside the International Space Station today doing more work to install lithium-ion batteries. This is NPR News from Washington.
Good morning in Philadelphia, 8:31. I'm Jennifer WHYY News. For years, blight has festered in the area around Amtrak's North Philadelphia station on Broad Street. Now a team of New York investors wants to
for new homes, research labs, and offices they say will bring needed jobs to the area. But neighbors want to know what else the development will bring. WHYY's Daryl C. Murphy spoke with neighbors and a member of the development team.
Backers say North Station District could transform the area for residents. Mike Balkin is one of the inventors of the project, which aims to turn a parking lot into a busy transit hub.
I think what we want to bring to the community is to improve the infrastructure and bring the jobs.
The area around North Station has a 40% poverty rate. Factories and warehouses used to operate in the area, but those businesses left years ago. Still, residents like Latanya Talford worry the project will cause more disruption than prosperity.
Where's my children going to play at now? Okay, you know what I mean? Because now the parking lot where we play kickball and we play baseball at, and the kids actually play football at. So y'all taking that.
The first phase of the project will be reviewed by the city on Tuesday. Daryl C. Murphy, WHYY News.
It's at 32. Children's Hospital of Philadelphia is spearheading a project that hopes to map every cell in a child's body. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg's foundation gave $15 million for a similar project in adults, but pediatric researchers say there is a need for such data in children whose cells function differently than adults. CHOP's Deanne Taylor is leading the development of a pediatric cell atlas. She says the project could lead to better treatments for children and adults.
Understanding why children's tissues do so well in healing and wound and regeneration and wound healing, but also benefit adult health as well.
Taylor says the project would be like the Human Genome Project, taken up a level and drilling down on what cells are actually doing to cause disease. Fascinating. What's going on 8:34? How's your day going? Hopefully it's going. Keep listening. Thanks for tuning in. It's Morning Edition, 90.9 WHYY, your NPR number station. It is cloudy Friday, with 66 to up to 73.
PR comes from Big Station and from Campaign Monitor, an email marketing platform used by more than 250,000 customers, offering personalization tools like engagement segments and dynamic content. More at campaignmonitor.com. From Capterra, for helping people find the right software for their business. From HR solutions to vacation rental software, users can read reviews and compare products across hundreds of software categories. More at capterra.com. And from Americans for the Arts.
This is WHYY's Morning Edition. Good morning, I'm Jennifer Lynn. The Philadelphia Orchestra has had a composer in residence for the last 2 years, writing a new piece. It's premiering at the Kimmel Center with performances through Sunday. WHYY's Peter Crimmins reports that Healing Tones is a spiritual work that delivers a warning to humanity.
It starts with a shofar.
The first kick it right at the beginning, I guess.
This is Audrey Blickman. Then came all the way from Pittsburgh. She's a member of the Tree of Life Synagogue. That was the mass shooting last October. 11 people were killed. Blickman was actually there when it happened. She was leading morning prayer when the congregation was ambushed by gunmen. She survived, and she was asked to come to Philadelphia and play the shofar with the orchestra.
How could we refuse? It's our honor to come and do this. And the shofar is a call to action. We are working on making a call to action come out of the shooting.
As far as Blickman knows, this may be the first time a shofar has ever been performed with an orchestra. The piece is called Healing Tones, a new work by Hannibal Lokumbe, the orchestra's composer in residence. The work is in 3 parts, which Lokumbe calls veils.
Because you can move one step forward in your understanding of something on Monday, and on Tuesday, recede 20 steps backwards. But when a veil of understanding is lifted from your consciousness, you're never the same.
The first part, the first veil, is called Tones of Peace.
It's very placid, very soothing. The choir represents the ancestors who spoke through me to write the piece.
Lukumbe, who's based in Texas, has been a jazz recording artist for decades under the name Marvin Peterson. He traveled often to Philadelphia over the last 2 years to write this piece. The second part of the piece is Tones of War. It's about destruction. It's about finding the place inside you where hate lives.
There's parts in it, some instrumentational parts in it that are terrifying. As a human being, I found it unfortunate to have to write it because it reminded me that spiritually, as a race of beings, we're struggling with things that should have been resolved ages ago. Ages ago.
The piece is written for orchestra and choir. The director of the choir is J. Donald Dumpson, music minister at Philadelphia's Arch Street Presbyterian Church.
There's a moment in the performance where there are actually gunfires, just a very intense moment that really is about eradicating the pain that we cause each other.
Venable Lukumbe says he didn't really write this so much as listen to the voices of ancestors who guided him to write this.
There's a section where I personally want to destroy that part of me that would be drawn to anger or to fear. Ultimately, it addresses the war that is in us as individuals.
The Philadelphia Orchestra's performances of Healing Tones continue through Sunday. Peter Crimmins, WHYY News.
And you're listening to WHYY. Good morning. It's 8:38. Just heard a great piece there from Peter Crimmins. I love when he, kind of gets real sound rich and he's mixing it back and forth and doing the Peter Crimmins arts and culture thing. Truly a valuable resource in our newsroom. Been here for a while and knows the scene. And he's a knowledgeable guide, and that's what you hear a lot on NPR. People who really know what they're talking about because they've put the time in to understand the landscape of whatever it is that they're reporting on. That's valuable. It comes at a cost, though. And we, a few times a year, come to you and say, look, this is how we pay our bills. We like it this way. We're a community-supported, mission-driven nonprofit. And so we come to you a few times a year and ask you to chip in. We pass the hat and say, make a donation. So we're asking that this morning. We had a goal of $3,000 for this hour. We have 1,000 in so far, at least at last tally. So please, let's get that tally going up because we only have 20 minutes before the end of the hour when we have to meet our goal. The number 1-888-345-9499 or pledge online, WHYY.org.
And for example, if I could make a suggestion, if you want to come in as an ongoing sustainer of WHYY, that just means your membership keeps rolling on and rolling on. For $10 a month or more, we could add in a subscription, a one-year subscription to the New York Times, which I think is a really good deal because you're supporting WHYY, which is something you want to do. And then you're also getting the New York Times, which is something you want to have. So I think this is a great package. $10 or more a month as an ongoing sustainer. Make that pledge at WHYY.org. We have an ambitious goal of $2,000 left during this hour. So thank you for the 1,000 that have already come in. Please be the next person to join WHYY as a member. We heard from Judith in Quakertown, who says, I can't overstate that now more than ever, Americans need good, solid, honest, talented journalism. WHYY is able to comb out opinion, speculation, expunges sensationalism, and makes us all more well-informed. And she says that is why, intentional pun, Judith gives to WHYY. Really appreciate that. I think she was talking about our great new radio program called The Why, which you can catch in the evenings or online anytime, of course. Every pledge counts here at WHYY. It's how we do business, and we're hoping that you will be next. And Kevin, I really, really, really want to unlock another clue in this great mystery.
Right, so if you're just tuning in, we've got this big announcement coming on Monday, but they haven't told us what it is. Mike and I don't know.
No clue.
Honest to God, we don't know what it is. Nobody here knows what it is, at least in our crew. Somebody here hopefully knows what it is.
And I'm nosy, and I don't know.
We've been snooping around, but we're getting clues now every time we meet a goal. So far we have had 2 goals, one in the 6 o'clock hour, one in the 7 o'clock hour. We made both. First we learned, and so we think that this announcement has to do with a person. There's some sort of personality. Yep. And so the first clue was a sandal.
Yep.
Birkenstock looking sandal. And the second clue was a set of coordinates, which we've deduced using a search engine.
And people tweeted us
www. And we figured out that it's up in Roxborough, the big transmission towers for TV and radio. So it said technician spotted this personality at that set of coordinates. So that's what we know so far. So maybe you have an idea based on that. I have no clue.
Me neither.
But we're going to get another clue this hour if we can break through this goal. So again, $3,000. We can do that. There are tens and tens and tens of thousands of people listening to Morning Edition each and every day. So please be one of those listeners who becomes a member. Make the call right now. 1-888-345-9499 or online at whyy.org.
Yeah, and again, $10 or more a month as an ongoing sustainer will get you not only knowing that you support WHYY, but also a 1-year subscription to the digital edition of the New York Times, which comes in really handy. We also have these Philly tarot cards, or how do you say it?
Tarot.
Yeah. See, I say more French, tarot. So anyway, they are really pretty. They are Philly-based. Terry Gross is the high priestess, right?
Yeah.
And I've never done this. I've never, ever played with these cards. So
I kind of want my fortune read using the Philly tarot card deck. That would be cool. But even if you don't want that, they're actually just like a cool thing to kind of have on your coffee table and thumb through. They're beautifully designed and illustrated. Not only is Terry in there, but Betsy Ross and Edgar Allan Poe and Questlove and Questlove, like all these kind of like Philly heroes, right?
Yeah.
So that's a $20 a month pledge gift as a sustainer. So that's that would be a great gift too if you have somebody in your life who needs something. Mother's Day's coming up, right? Father's Day.
Yeah.
Maybe that would make a great gift. Yeah. Graduation. 1-888-345-9499 or online at whyy.org is the way you can make this happen. Again, the goal this hour, $3,000. We have $1,400 in so far. So we've got some work to do with about 15 minutes to go before the hour.
And I think we can do it at whyy.org. Make that pledge now. Think about everything WHYY brings to you. Robert from Wilmington says, we need unbiased real news now more than ever. Agreed. So make that pledge at whyy.org or give us a call at 1-888-345-9499. Let's get another clue.
Supporting WHYY, the Philadelphia Speaker Series, presented by Thomas Jefferson University at the Kimmel Center, now has subscription tickets on sale for the upcoming season. The series features famed journalist Bob Woodward, former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Seinfeld's Costanza Jason Alexander, and former Secretary of State John Kerry. Interested? Information about these dynamic and influential personalities at philadelphiaspeakers.org, sponsored by the Haverford Trust Company.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from the Melville Charitable Trust, driven by one goal, ending homelessness for good. Learn more online at melvilletrust.org and on Twitter at Melville Trust. From Kay Bucksbaum, in support of the David Gilkey and Zabiula Tamana Memorial Fund, established to strengthen NPR's commitment to training and protecting journalists in high-risk environments. And from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation at rwjf.org. It's time now for StoryCorps. Carolyn DeFord, a Puyallup tribal member, grew up with her mom, Leona Kinsey, in a trailer park in La Grande, Oregon. 20 years ago, Leona disappeared. She was never seen again. She is one of many Native American women who have gone missing. Her daughter came to StoryCorps to remember when she got the phone call that her mother had disappeared.
My mom was independent and she was super self-sufficient, so I was really afraid to call the police. I could just hear her like, you need to mind your own business. I'm an adult. I can take care of myself. Her car being found was the real alarm to me. When I got to her house, there was still coffee in the coffee pot. She had groceries. She had bread. I went in her room and I laid down on her bed for a second and I could smell her in the pillows and I just cried. I looked over and her purse was on the ground. Her pager was in there, and that was where all the messages that I'd left her were. she didn't intend to leave and not come back. I had this great hope that I would call missing report and the police would just find her. That's what they do, right? They find people. They sacrifice hope. For the rest of the world, nothing's going to really have positive. We have funerals and inheritance ceremonies for lives. When somebody's missing, they don't get to go somewhere to honor them. There's no day out of the year. You know, it's just different. Everything is unknown. It's been 20 years. And sometimes it surfaces with the same oddness as if it was yesterday. This year, I'm the age she was when she disappeared. There's something about that.
The voice of Carolyn DeFord. She came to StoryCorps to remember her mother, Leona Kinsey. Her mother's case has never been solved. Carolyn now works to help the families of other missing and murdered Indigenous women. Her interview will be archived along with hundreds of thousands of others at the Library of Congress. Major support for StoryCorps comes from Subaru, introducing the all-new 2019 Subaru Forester, featuring standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. Learn more at Subaru.com. And from Rogue Scholar, a not-for-profit offering educational travel adventures for adults to Yellowstone, Yosemite, and national parks across the U.S. More at roadscholar.org/nationalparks.
Thank you for listening to Morning Edition. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott with Kevin McCrory. Just heard this beautiful, also very sad edition of StoryCorps, and I think, Kevin, to me, StoryCorps is one of the prime examples of what public radio can do, where it brings us people's voices, and they are wrong. Sometimes the stories are really, really upsetting. Sometimes they are uplifting. Sometimes they're really funny. I've heard so many great moments on StoryCorps over the years, and it's one of the things that I really appreciate about public radio is that basically you feel like you get to know people better, and you get to hear them in some very intimate moments where they really share something with us. That's the kind of radio we're asking you to support on this morning at whyy.org or also on the phone at 1-888-345-9499, because we want to bring you more stories just like that. We want to continue to bring people's voices to you and the news and the information that you need.
You know, I think about what you're saying, and I think about other media, and it's like, it's so rare that when you listen to WHYY NPR, there's actually moving stuff that's not corny. Like, it's authentic and moving. At times, there's stuff that's laugh out loud funny. That's not just like, you know, cheesy. And then there's actual great news reporting that you get real information from and learn a lot from. Like, you really get a lot out of what you listen to when you listen to WHYY, and it's really special, and it really doesn't happen without listener support. So that's why we come to you a few times a year to ask you to do that, because otherwise it would be far less robust, it would be far less well made, and so that's why we're here. And so remember to come on board is 1-888-345-9499 or online at whyy.org. The goal this hour, $3,000. What do we have in the gate so far? 1,600. So we've got quite a bit of ground to make up here in the next 10 minutes. And, you know, in addition to funding the station and all that stuff, we also need to unlock this clue. Right?
I know.
It's going to be revealed to us on Monday, this announcement. But we're trying to figure it out now, right? And we can unlock these clues by hitting our goals. It's some sort of personality. It's a big announcement about a personality. And what we know so far is Sandal and Northwest Philadelphia radio transmitter tower or something.
Yeah.
So what is this about? Please, let's get the calls coming so we can unlock the next clue, and maybe we'll be that much closer to figuring this thing out.
Yes, be the next person to support WHYY. Thank you.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Rachel Martin.
And I'm Steve Inskeep. No matter what happens in this unsettling world, at least Batman is on the case.
Fear not.
who's adapted to changing times.
80 years old and still kicking and punching. Lots of punching. Punching is kind of his thing. We don't have to go over his origin story. You know the drill. Dark alley, a mugger, dead parents. What you might not know is that when he began, back in Detective Comics 27 in 1939, his co-creators, Bill Finger and Bob Kane, had him kill folk a lot. In his first year alone, he sent 24 criminals to their deaths, plus 2 vampires, a pack of werewolves, and a handful of giant mutants, because, you know, comics. And he always did it with a grim smile. It didn't last. His publishers worried that parents would balk at all that violence, so just 1 year in, they course-corrected by introducing his sidekick, Robin the Boy Wonder, to lighten the tone. It, worked.
Holy jack-in-the-box. Exactly, Boy Wonder.
Batman was the first comics hero to pivot like that, to be nimble enough to react to changes in his audience. It's one reason he took off right away in the 1940s, leaping from comic books to daily newspaper strips. He got a recurring stint on Superman's radio show, and even a couple movie serials to himself.
Yes, Batman, clad in the somber costume which has struck terror to the heart of many a swaggering denizen of the underworld.
The likeness just kept increasing into the 1960s when it came to a head on national TV. Here, at the height of the counterculture,